This is the Purple Passion Project with host and clinical sexologist Dr. Stacy Friedman. This is your go-to podcast for raw, real, and irresistibly juicy conversations about sex, intimacy, connection, and everything in between. Whether you're feeling a little stuck in your love life, curious about what turns you on, or just craving conversations that actually matter, you're in the right place. So now, please welcome the host of the Purple Passion Project, Dr. Stacy Friedman.
What do you get when you mix purple, passion, and permission to be your true self? This podcast. Hi, I'm your host, Dr. Stacy, and this is the Purple Passion Project, coming to you live and unfiltered. This is the show where we talk sex, intimacy, connection, and everything underneath the surface. Because let's be honest, small talk is boring and you're ready for the good stuff. So relax, drop your guard, and get ready for some truth, laughs, maybe a few gasps, and a whole lot of passion. So today's guest is someone whose work aligns perfectly with mine and our mission to helping people in the sexuality field. Her name is SkyeBlu, also known as Blue, and she's a certified relationship, intimacy, and sex therapist, and has spent over 7 years helping women and couples reclaim desire, transform their intimate lives. And her motto, which I love, is life is too short for bad sex. So she's a pleasure advocate and a founder of Intimacy with Blue. And she also has a group on Facebook, Thriving Women in Relationships, to help women reignite their desire for intimacy, reconnecting with their bodies, and just experiencing intimacy as something that they crave and not just a little thing to check off their list. No more faking it, no more going through the motions, just real, feel it in your bones pleasure. So I'm going to introduce Blue right now onto the stage. Hello.
Hi, Dr. Stacy.
How are you? Nice to meet you. And thank you so much for being on here and talking sex with me and intimacy.
Yeah, I'm so excited. And I do think that our work aligns really well.
Absolutely. And it's definitely something I had my very first podcast was talking a little bit about how sex is a chore for many people and things to check off the to-do list. But I want to get really deep in and talk with you about a little bit more in depth about women and their desires and feeling disconnected from their bodies. So let's start right away with the big one. Why do so many women, especially in long-term relationships, just feel like intimacy is a chore? Because I know I hear that very often in my practice.
So what do you say? Yeah, and I've experienced it as well at some point in my life.
Of course, I think we all have.
I think so. I think there's a lot of factors that can influence that, but I think for women specifically, women are often not having sex that is actually pleasurable to them. And so they're not
doing it with a partner rather than for themselves.
Exactly. They're doing it for their partner, or maybe they've never explored their own wants and desires, and so they just kind of do whatever their partner wants to do, but it's not good for them. And so why would you want to continue having sex that isn't that great, right? It's not fun to look forward to.
Absolutely. And I think also one of the things that people focus on is like, oh, well, I'm not having the orgasm, so it's not good sex. But there's so much more to that as well, which I'm sure we'll get into as we talk. But that is a very, very common thing for many women, is not, having to do it as a chore and getting into that space. So hear women that are saying, I'm just not in the mood. I just don't feel like it. Is it a laziness? I found some people might have a laziness in there, or is it just that they don't know what they want, so they just don't feel like they're in the mood? What do you find, and what are some ways that you help people get through that?
Yeah, I don't know if I would call it a laziness, but I think that a lot of women don't know what they actually enjoy, because they haven't explored, or like in our society, I'm in America, here we really demonize women who know what they like and celebrate
ask
their own
for what
pleasure.
they like.
Ask for what they like, right? So a lot of women just never even go down that path. for a lot of reasons.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, so it's important for us to be able to help women share what they want and what they like. And so how would you tell somebody who says, I don't know what I like? And so with me not being in the mood, it's not necessarily that I'm not in the mood to connect. I'm just not in the mood to sit there with my legs spread. How do we help them say, this is what I want, this is what I need?
Sure. And I think that distinction is really important. Like, are you in the mood for connection?
Right.
That could mean a lot of things versus what you think sex looks like can be a big break for women. But I like to help women work their what do I want muscle is what I call it.
What did you say? What do you want?
What do you want muscle?
What do you want muscle? Oh, that's good. Uh-huh.
Yeah. So if you don't have a lot of practice working your what do I want muscle, you probably don't know what you want, and that's okay. It takes some practice, like going to the gym, right? You have to start somewhere. And so for women who don't know what they want, I'll often help them start outside of the bedroom and just asking themselves, what do you want in your day-to-day life? Like, because some women they're just so on autopilot. They're going to work, they're taking care of kids, they're taking care of their spouse, they're home. They're very rarely thinking, what would I like in this moment that would make me happy or would feel good to me?
Yeah, we don't think about that enough. We're always usually, I would say the nurturers, always taking care of the partner, taking care of the kids, taking care of the home. And when do we sit there and take care of ourselves? Because usually by the time we're done taking care of everybody, we're ready to crash in bed,
Totally. Yeah. And that's been my experience in life because I was raised to be the people pleaser and take care of everyone else, and makes me a great therapist, but also I need to, focus on what I need and what I want. Because
listen what you preach.
Yeah.
Preach, yeah.
Exactly. Practice what I preach. Because this is what I tell women, if you're not taking care of yourself in general and living a pleasure-filled, happy, joyful existence, then how do you expect yourself to get excited or feel open to sex and intimacy? Right? I feel like these things are very aligned.
Right, exactly. Very aligned. It's so many times I'll tell people, you know what, just take a shower, take a bath, just touch yourself, what it feels like to be touched. We don't pay attention to our own feelings, our own sensations enough. And many times the reason why people, we were talking about, why are you not in the mood, is because we don't know what we like. And there's also a lot of shame and stuff, which we'll want to get into a little bit also, for people to even take that time to do it. And, the focus so many times on sex is penetration. It's like, oh, we're going to have sex tonight. This is what it means. And I try so hard to let people know that, like we've talked about connection before, it's not just about sex. And what is sex? And one of the things I ask my clients is when they're sitting there, I usually ask the guy first, what does sex mean to you? And what does intimacy mean to you? And that way each partner can hear each other and understand that what the difference is. So when the wife or the woman partner would say, I need more intimacy, all the man hears is like, I'm giving you as much sex as I can. What is the difference between sex and intimacy? And then when the woman can understand that there is a difference, she can understand maybe more of what she wants to be able to express in her needs.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And I talk about the same things with couples that I work with.
Right.
I think that most people have a pretty prescribed way of looking at sex and understanding what sex means.
Right.
Like you said, is like penis and vagina penetration. And there's nothing wrong with that. But
no, absolutely not.
Right. But it's only one way to have sex. And there's the metaphor that I like to use is it's like having the same meal every time. Meat, potatoes, veg, every single day of your life. You might get kind of sick of that, or maybe it wasn't your thing to begin with, right? And if so, penis and vagina penetration is the only type of sex you ever have, you're missing out on the buffet.
I always describe it as chicken, and then you want steak finally.
Yeah.
So you say meat and potatoes, I say chicken and broccoli, but it's the same concept. I mean, you could add a little bit of sauce to the chicken, or you could add a little bit of butter to the chicken. You're still having that same piece of chicken. Get rid of the chicken and get some steak.
Yeah, I love the food metaphors.
Exactly. Well, it makes sense though, because you see that it can get monotonous, it can get boring, and we want people to be able to, I like to use the word curiosity, just to be curious. And not so many times we see women thinking ahead, like, oh, I have to have sex now, so that means I'm going to have to do this, then I'm going to have to do this, then I'm going to have to do this, rather than just being in the moment and just saying, wonder what this is going to feel like. I wonder what I'm going to like this time, or wonder what we can do to change things up. That curiosity, I think, helps tremendously with women in desire as well.
Totally. Yeah. I love that word, curiosity. Well,
it's non-judgmental. And so many of us women judge ourselves all the time, and it just kind of throws that judgment out the door. We were talking about like the idea of penetration. So you had said something about like pleasure without pressure. So what do you mean by that? And why is that such an important shift to make in your mind when it comes to sex?
It's really important for people of all genders, but especially for women.
Right.
Like if we feel any sort of pressure to perform or pressure to do something we don't want to do, whether it's intentional or not, it's going to shut the door to sex and intimacy. Or women, sometimes I hear this a lot, is like women will have sex that they don't really want to have. They feel obligated, like it's their duty.
Check it off.
And check it off, and it's not good for them, and they get resentful, and that grows distance and creates avoidance and all sorts of yucky things. So we want to take the pressure off of sex. And one way that you can do that is what we were just talking about, is like getting curious about what sex can even mean, right? Like we can take the pressure off of having to have penetration or having to have orgasms, and rather just focus on like connection and what feels good in that moment. And this is for all partners, like taking the pressure off of what sex has to look like is one way that you can do it.
It's important to do that too, because a lot of times if you say something like that to someone who maybe has the higher drive, could be the man, could be the woman, whatever, they might be like, yeah, but what if I'm sitting there and we're taking pressure off and I get horny, or I get an erection, or I want to have sex? And so a lot of times I try to explain to the person, doesn't mean you don't have to have an orgasm. It just means we don't want to focus on the attention of the destination of having the intercourse. I think it's helpful to say, you know what, if you want, maybe someone could give you a hand job. Maybe you can pull out a vibrator. Maybe you can take care of something on your own. So that way that pressure is not there. Because it is possible that when you're playing around like that, someone might get a little bit more excited than the other person. And we don't want to have to put that pressure on to be able to say, okay, well, now that you got me all excited, what are you going to do now? Kind of sit, allow that excitement to build for another night, where it could be really enjoyable, where we can have more desire, So.
Absolutely. And when people can play like that, the way that you were describing, in my experience with couples and women in my therapy practice, women start to feel a lot safer to explore because they're not feeling pressured, and they can start to feel safe knowing that they can say, no, I don't want that right now.
And not get into a fight.
And ironically, that just opens the doors to like more connection and more intimacy.
Absolutely. And I think that emotional safety is one of the most important things for women in desire. because if you don't feel that emotional safety, I think that like you said, they're just going to put that wall up. So as you know, a therapist, I do coaching, not therapy, but I obviously know a lot about the field. But in your experience, how important have you seen that emotional connection in being a part and reigniting that desire for women, especially?
I think it's one of the most important things for people of all genders, but especially for women.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of layers to it, right? Like as women in this world, we feel a lot of pressure to give our bodies away, to do things we don't want to do. So if we're not feeling safe in a couple, in a relationship, we usually just shut down or pull away, or we protect ourselves. So that emotional safety is like so key. If you want more sex and intimacy, create the safety.
Absolutely. I know one of the things that I work on also is the touch without the expectation. So many times when I tell people, well, how many times do you like kiss during the day? And we're like, I don't know, we kiss hello, we kiss goodbye. Do you ever have a makeout session? And so many people don't make out because they don't know what to do after making out and stopping. They're like, how do you just make out and stop? I'm like, you just make out and stop. That is so important, is that why that's one of the reasons why I have found so many people will stop touching and stop doing things, because they feel like if they do, it automatically has to turn into something else. Do you ever see that? Because I feel like people need to have that safety to feel like, okay, we could make out, knowing that it's okay to stop.
Absolutely. And sex also can look like anything you want it to. So like, who says making out on the couch for 20 minutes and loving that and enjoying that doesn't mean you weren't intimate and had sex?
Right.
Right. So like, that's another way to let the pressure off, is like, there's no destination.
Right. Sexual connection versus sex, meaning intercourse. That's what we have to, I think, help people change their mindsets on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree.
So when you have women that maybe want to learn a little bit more about their bodies or connect more to their bodies, I know that's one of the harder things because of all the shame that we've had. And you had said that you had grown up in a Christian home, and that may have impacted some of your beliefs as well with sex, especially religion nowadays. So how would you help people that are either coming from that type of a background, or just wanting, or trying to get rid of the shame and wanting to learn more about their bodies without feeling dirty or that it's wrong? Because women are so disconnected from our own bodies.
Oh, yes. Yeah. And I can relate to that on a personal level. You know, like you said, I grew up in a Christian home.
Right.
And I got very mixed messages from my mom about sexuality. Like, on the one hand, it's like amazing, and this is what you do with your married male partner.
Right.
And at the same time, like, you don't give it away, because and it's also scary, and it can be like people can harm you through sex.
So confusing.
So like, oh my gosh. And I also developed like, I looked like a woman by the time I was 12. So I got a lot of sexual attention from much older men. It was very confusing. So through my journey, what I've done is I've done a lot of like relearning of my own story, and just asking myself, like, what do I want to believe? And sitting with that. You know, I want to believe.
What do you want your story to be? What do you want it to be?
Because I believe that everybody can rewrite their story. You know, we all have messages that we soak up from childhood, and that's inevitable. But we also have a choice. Like, do we want to believe that stuff?
Right.
Or would we like to kind of rewrite some of those messages and beliefs? And for me, like, I've reclaimed the word slut, for example. Like, I love that word, and I embrace that word, and that's who I am. And like, with my partner, with my partner, that's like our favorite, like, sexy word.
That's awesome. But that's true, because there's so much slut shaming nowadays, before, I remember when I was growing up, I mean, I was a very sexual being, and I was very lucky to not feel shamed, even though I did get slut shamed often. If I was with one person, two people, three people, two people at one time, this sex, that sex, whatever it was, there was so much judgment. But a lot of people do not get through that as easily as maybe I did, or somebody else. And so that slut shaming can be very damaging to someone's psyche, when it's okay for, let's say, men to do certain things, but then when a woman does the same thing, they're not good. I said, listen, what I did made me who I am today, and I have the best marriage ever. So I'm definitely not ashamed of who I am. And what you mentioned about the story is that, you have to write your own story and not always listen to what other people shared, because that's their story. So I love that message.
Yeah, absolutely. And anybody can do it. I think the other thing that you can do is like surround yourself with people, media, things like this awesome podcast that are very sex positive. Read books about sex positivity, learn more about your body and pleasure. Like, the more that you surround yourself with the things that you would like to believe one day, like, the more likely that's going to happen.
It's a good point. It helps, I think, open your mind for sure.
It does. Yeah.
That's awesome. Good juicy stuff. We're going to take a quick little commercial break, and then we'll come back and talking with Blue.
If you enjoy these podcasts with Dr. Stacy, imagine the results you can get from a personal coaching session. As a clinical sexologist and certified sex coach with over 2 decades of experience, Dr. Stacy helps people just like you reignite passion, explore their desires, and break through blocks that may be holding you back, solo or with a partner. Whether you're struggling with communication, desire mismatch, performance anxiety, or simply want to feel more confident and connected in your sex life, Dr. Stacy is here to help. She offers a complimentary 15-minute consult so you can see if working together feels right. Visit drstacyfriedman.com to schedule your free call today, and let's take your passion to the next level.
And we're back.
Hello.
Thanks for watching, everybody. We're talking about the idea of pleasure and intimacy. And one of the things that I know that I've looked and I've seen on your website and everything, talking about pleasure first relationship. And so for you, when you say pleasure first approach to intimacy, what does that actually look like? Because I think it's important to focus on pleasure first. So I'm assuming it's kind of what I think, but share with everybody what you mean.
Yeah, I think it ties in to everything we've been talking about, but on an individual level, like having a pleasure-focused relationship with your body is really important. Like for me, sometimes I have a big hang up about exercise, and it just makes me like want to disconnect from my body.
Yeah.
But what I've learned is like I can do whatever I want that feels good in my body. So like I can move any way I want that feels good to me. And so when it comes to the bedroom, that's the same. Like I'm only doing things that feel good to me. And if it doesn't feel good, if it's painful, if I've decided I'm not into this anymore, I'm going to honor that as well. And I encourage clients to honor that as well. And then for the partner, like if they're enjoying it, but their partner isn't, like you want to respect that your partner like doesn't want to do this thing anymore. It's not pleasurable for them. Right? So that's kind of the basis of what that means.
Well, I've mentioned it once or twice on a couple other shows, but I've had a history of, painful sex. And that's one of the reasons why one of my specialties is working with women who have painful sex. I've been through it for 6 years, years back. And I know that working with other women that have dealt with, let's say, painful sex, or even men that have erection issues or back pain, there's a lot of surgical procedures. You're not always going to be able to have the typical sex, and you might have a partner that is dealing with pain. And to focus on pleasure as someone who dealt with pain, I couldn't even get my mind through it because I was like, well, what good am I if I can't just have intercourse? That was kind of my thought process going through it. And I think a lot of people, if they don't have that mindset of just focusing on pleasure and they're just focusing on penetration, or they're focusing on making sure their partner is satisfied, they're doing things like you've mentioned the word resentment before. They're doing things that are going to cause them to resent their partners rather than just saying, I'm not feeling good right now. So many times people just stop. And I always try to get people, don't stop, figure something else out, something else that can make you feel good. Because otherwise you're just doing it for the other person and you're not having that pleasure.
Yeah. And that all comes back to the curiosity piece.
Curiosity, yep.
And being like, well, what would we like connection to look like in this moment?
Absolutely.
Right? Like if penetration is not on the table because it's too painful, or maybe erections aren't happening or whatever, what else would you like to do to stay connected? That could just be the sensual shower and like giving each other massages. It could be making out and dry humping. It could be playing with toys. It could be mutual masturbation.
Dry humping days. High
Yeah,
school.
totally. But yeah, but if that feels good to you
Right.
and you're having fun, like go for it, right?
Yeah, no, that could definitely build up some tension too. Because if you say to yourself, well, I know I can't do something because of this, or this,
Yeah.
I always recommend the shower too, because I think the shower is such an erotic place, and you don't have to, there's just so much that you can do in a shower when you're not able to necessarily have sex, or even when you are, but just to change it up a little bit. The shower could be a lot of fun.
Totally. Actually, that's one of my favorite places is the shower. And because it takes me a minute to like get in the mood, right? And a lot of women are that way. Not all of them, but a lot of us are. It takes a minute to be like, okay, I actually want sex and intimacy now. And for me, a nice warm shower, talking, washing each other, and then maybe some sensual touching like that. And it just helps me relax. Right?
Well, the water just dropping on you, and then the wetness, and you're washing, you and your partner are washing each other, and everything is just wet. Everything, it just helps things flow and feels good. Because a lot of women are not necessarily, especially in long-term relationships, are not going to feel that desire until they feel aroused. And I think that's that expectation where, I'm sure you've heard where men are more spontaneous, where they usually generalizing, they can have an erection easier and they just wake up with one, or they see somebody naked and they have an erection, where women are more responsive. So in order to build that desire, you need to have arousal. So that shower is a great arousal tool, and it's clean. When you're done, you don't have to clean anything. It's all clean.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's fun. And for women who are like, I'm never in the mood, what's wrong with me? Like it's like you were saying, if you're more responsive desire, like it's just like getting curious about what will help you get in the mood. And and it's okay if that takes a little bit of time. Right? Like,
of course, yeah.
Like maybe I need to take a shower by myself and shave my legs and then listen to some sexy music and then do massages with my partner. And like, this can take all day or like a long time. And that's okay. Like that's all part of the fun.
So there might be some people listening saying, okay, well, if it takes all day, I don't have all day. What kind of tips do you give to people when life is stressful, when they are spending all day, working or coming home with the kids, and then their partner's coming home and it's just exhaustion? Then how do we get them to where maybe they do know their bodies, but they're just not in the mood? How can we get them to get to that relaxed place after a long day? Some tips for that?
Yeah, I'm thinking of two things. One is spontaneous sex is the best sex is a total myth. And then two, also like figuring out what does connection even mean. So I'll start with the first one. Like for people who are in long-term relationships, spontaneous type of sex gets less and less and less, and that's normal and that's fine. And it doesn't mean it's bad. If you think about when you were dating, like way back in the day, it probably wasn't as spontaneous as you think it was. Like,
Right, because you would only do it usually when you see each other, which would be once or twice a week or something like that.
yeah, and you know it's coming, so you're
Right.
probably preparing in some ways. Like, oh, I'm gonna shave
Point.
tonight. I'm gonna put on my nice dress and my perfume and like makeup, and like you're getting ready. You're preparing mentally, emotionally, physically for maybe having sex or being intimate with this person.
Makes
So
sense.
yeah. So it's the same in like a long-term relationship. Like you have to be more intentional. Like, hey, I would like to go on a date on Thursday. Today's Monday. Thursday. Like put
Right.
some
You have
thought
a couple
into it.
days to prepare and get your hair cut, get a new outfit, something like that. So that makes sense that's why when people say it's no fun to schedule sex, but it can be when you allow yourself that time to get prepared and think about it and let it build and figure out what you can do in between to let it build. I also say you mentioned like on a Thursday. I like the idea of dating outside of the typical Friday, Saturday nights, because what happens so many times that I've seen is that people will go an entire week. Let's say they don't have sex, and then Friday and Saturday nights of date night. Well, what do you have to do on a date night on a Friday and Saturday night? You have to have sex. That's that expectation. So I feel it's so important to do kind of like what you said is pick a Thursday night or something, or maybe you could do something at home and plan. So that way, if you do go out on a Friday, Saturday night, you may have just done it. And so you may not have that expectation to do it again, and you can enjoy the evening. Because otherwise, sometimes you come home and you're like, oh, I'm full. I just ate dinner, my stomach, I might fart or poop or something like that.
Yeah.
It's uncomfortable. Do you agree?
I do. I totally agree. I think doing anything that takes the pressure off is great. Yeah. And with my clients, I actually recommend that they're being intentional about creating moments of connection rather than scheduling sex.
For example, give some examples.
Yeah. So like we've booked tickets for this concert and we're going to go to dinner. And those are opportunities to feel close and connected. And like maybe sex will happen. And if it does, great. But there doesn't have to be pressure that it's going to happen. I know that some people love scheduling sex and it works for them and it's awesome. For some people, it feels like more pressure. So I just say like make intentional moments for connection that you're going to find fun, where maybe you're going to like dress up and you're like getting prepared and like that date energy is there.
Yeah.
And
yeah, that date energy. I sometimes tell people, especially if they live together, and it is easy if their kids are not trying to get into the room, but a lot of times we'll try to do something before we go out to dinner on a Friday or Saturday night. So that way we know after a fun evening, we could just go home and crash. We're like, okay, we already did that. We already, showered to get ready and we took care of things and had a good time. And, but it was intentional because we wanted to connect. And that's that word connection is so important.
Yeah, I know that there's a lot of professionals in our field who say sex before the date. That's the recommendation. And like, if that's what you want to do, go for it.
It helps though, because I mean, I know when you have a big juicy meal, you're full, it's like you don't different positions. It's hard. And, you're coming, not to get gross, but it's all different directions. It's, not always so comfortable. So sometimes that pre-date, tryst is actually a lot of fun. So what I hear a lot when people come to me about, let's say, not knowing their body or not feeling comfortable with who they are, or things aren't working properly, like orgasms, for example. They think that something's wrong with them, or they're not normal, or they're broken. For the women who feel like they are broken, what do you want to share with them? What kind of advice do you have to help them kind of get out of that mindset?
Yeah, I would say maybe you're putting pressure on yourself to like live up to some sort of expectation.
Someone else's expectation.
Someone else's expectation. And that's going to always get in your way of whatever it is you're trying to achieve. And the thing specifically with orgasms is like, usually people need to feel like really relaxed and chill, right, and like open and vulnerable to have an orgasm. Mm-hmm. But if you're telling yourself like, oh, I'm broken, or is it going to happen, or like all of that anxiety, it's going to really get in your way and make things even harder. So for the woman who feels like she's broken, I would just say, like, according to whose standards are you saying that from? And what do you want to believe about yourself? Right. And can you take some pressure off? And like, what are some like more compassionate ways that you can support yourself in the thing that you're trying to do, whatever it is?
I think also education, there's so much education missing as far as what is normal sex, what is normal expectations when it comes to sex, because I can't tell you how many women come to me and they're just like, I don't understand. I just can't have an orgasm. My husband's frustrated. I'm frustrated, this, that. And then when I sit there and I give them the education and just say, listen, only about 20 to 25% of women have orgasm through intercourse, all of a sudden they're like, what? You know, and these are people in their 30s, or, you know, I think that the lack of education, which is another reason why these podcasts are so good, because you could actually learn something, you know, can help people feel less alone, less broken, more normal, you know, because what is normal?
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that you bring that up, because not that I forget, but like I'm in this world of sex all the time, right? So this is normalized for me, but like that is such an important thing that a lot of people don't understand, is like how anatomy works, you know, and how it's different for like male body versus female bodied people, and where our pleasure zones are, and like what will help different people of all genders have orgasms. Like, it is a lack of education. And it's sad.
It is. And I think that people just expect it to just work with everybody, and everybody's different. Mm-hmm. Men are all different sizes. Women are all different sizes, different positions, different shapes. I mean, some curve down, some go up, you know, some clitorises are right by the entrance, some are higher up. And that education is such an important part in what we do to help people understand that, you know, the focus is so often on having that orgasm that we're not being able to really learn about our own pleasure and what we want. And that kind of goes back to the very beginning of our conversation, is that curiosity of figuring ourselves out and allowing ourselves to actually learn what we want and what we need.
Absolutely. And also for the people listening, like if you want more sex education, just pornography is not it.
It's not?
It is not that education. That's entertainment, which is super fun and great, but don't learn what you're going to do in the bedroom from porn. Learn from Dr. Stacy or
from you.
Or from me.
Yeah, I have people saying, I want to squirt like that. And I'm just like, oh gosh, no, that's, you know, shoo, shoo, shoo. Yes, that could happen, but that's porn. Okay.
Yeah, it's rare.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, I want to take one more quick commercial break, and then we'll be right back to finish up our conversation. So thank you.
Looking to spice things up in the bedroom? Dr. Stacy's got you covered. From luxurious lotions to silky lubes and tantalizing toys, our collection has everything you need to turn up the heat and reignite that spark. Whether you're flying solo or with a partner, our products are designed to enhance intimacy and pleasure. Use the coupon code PURPLE and get 20% off your entire order. Visit drstacyfriedman.com, click the shop link, and explore our full range of goodies that are sure to bring out the fun in the bedroom. Let's make every moment more exciting. Dr. Stacy's Tantric Toys, where pleasure meets purpose.
Of course, my code has to be purple.
I love that.
I like purple just a little bit,
That's great.
So this last segment, I want to be able to give some helpful tips and things to people who are listening, whether they're in a relationship or even just on their own. And so what are some tips that you might have that can maybe shift some couples, either mindsets or individual mindsets, about how to bring about a little bit more of excitement in the bedroom, or get rid of that daily routine of, work and play and, kids and all that kind of stuff? What are some tips that you can offer?
I think it really comes back to like curiosity, and the safety piece.
Safety, number one.
Yeah, if we can create this environment of safety in the relationship, people are going to feel a lot more open to exploring and to being curious about other sexy stuff. So I would definitely start there. And if that feels hard for whatever reason, like get some help from me or Dr. Stacy or someone else who can kind of guide you and help you figure out what that means, what it is to feel safe.
Yeah, that safety, it's sometimes maybe difficult for people to even understand, what does safety mean? And I think that we talked a little bit about it before, is that space that I see women telling me that they feel safe or they don't feel safe. It's usually when they're not able to just be who they are, to say no. Even though I hear the partners will be like, and I'm sure you hear this too, like, well, I wouldn't get mad if you said no. But it's almost like women have this, I don't know if it's society or how we were brought up religiously or whatever, that to say no is wrong. It's like, why do we have that in our heads, that we don't want to hurt someone's feeling, or we're afraid to just stand up for what we want?
Absolutely. I'd say that's a big problem, is like women who just feel afraid of like getting in trouble for not wanting the same thing as someone else, or wanting, just saying, no, I don't feel like it right now. Some women are really afraid to say no. They have a lot of anxiety around it. And in my experience, even if partners are like, I would never get mad, they might not like blow up and freak out, but they might be like, oh.
Right. Well, I thought you said earlier today that you were going to do this and do that.
Yeah. If you have a negative reaction like that, that tells your partner it's not okay to say no. And that makes things feel unsafe.
Right. So this is something to potentially help the men. How can the men respond? Because men's needs are important as well. When, let's say, their needs are not getting met, and the women are okay and safe to say, I don't want it now, or whatever. I'm trying to think of some things that we can share with the men that maybe we can help them respond in a way that helps them feel safe. So besides obviously not getting mad, do you have some ideas on how we can help the men talk to the women?
Yeah. If your spouse is saying like, no, I don't want that right now, or I changed my mind, or I'm just tired, I call this like dealing with rejection with grace, gracefully. Like, it's okay to have feelings about it, to feel disappointed or sad or even rejected. And that's okay. Like, acknowledge your own feelings. And like, you can say something like, oh, okay, I hear you. I respect that you said no. I'm feeling a little sad, so I'm just going to go like play video games with my buddies. I'm going to go take care of myself. Or like whatever you're going to do, like go self-soothe. Or if your partner's saying like, no, I don't feel like doing oral sex tonight, something specific.
Right.
You can say, that doesn't mean like we don't get to connect.
Right.
But maybe you could say, okay, you don't want to give me a blowjob. What would you like to do? What would feel good for you in this moment?
Ask questions.
Ask questions. It's like a conversation.
Right. Yeah, I see that a lot too, because there's times when we may not want to have sex. And a lot of times women are so used to just saying, I'm not in the mood. I always try to practice what I preach. And I remember this specifically, we were doing something in the morning and we said, oh, we can't wait till later in the evening. The evening came, I forgot about it. I was wiped. The last thing I wanted to do was have sex. And so when my partner came to try to, fool around, I was just like, oh, shoot, I said we were going to do something tonight. And so I said, you know what? I'm really not in the mood right now. He's like, that's okay, no problem. And obviously I have a safe space. So I said, how about we still connect, because I don't want it to feel like a rejection. What the other partner who is so-called being rejected needs to understand, it's not necessarily them being rejected, it's the act or the physicality of the act that the person may not feel up to doing. But we started fooling around, kissing and just holding each other. And next thing I know, I'm like, okay, take your pants off. I'm ready. Let's go. It's like, what? So sometimes that having that safety can actually do the opposite of backfiring on you. It could actually give you what you want in the future. But
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I was just telling my story.
I love that. That's a great example. Yeah, having that safety to say no and then do things that you did feel up for in the moment actually led to the thing that you wanted before.
Exactly. And the thing is that he didn't even say anything to me. So sometimes as a woman and as a partner, if you're not, sometimes they could be open as well and say things back to help support the partner so they don't feel that rejection. And that could be both ways. So the man asking the woman, like you said, asking those questions, well, if you don't want to do this, what can you do? Or are you open to? And then the woman doing the same. I'm not really in the mood for this, but don't just cut it off. Just say, is there something else I can do for you? Maybe, it's that back and forth.
Yeah, it can be that easy if we just take the pressure off of each other.
Right.
Like no expectations, and like we're here just to connect and have a good time, and if the person who's not getting the thing that they wanted, if they want to, go masturbate or self-pleasure, like you can do that too. That's totally within your control.
Yeah. And it's fun. Yeah. It can be just as fun. So anyway, but I really appreciate you talking with us and giving some great advice to help couples and women, especially trying to find their bodies, find their voice, and being able to have a better relationship. So I want to be able to let people know where they can find you, learn more about you. I did see when I went to your website that you also offer a free gift. Was it 100 ways to explore intimacy or something like that?
Sure. I have a free guide. It's 100 ways to explore your intimate desires. And it's something you can do on your own or with your partner. And it's a list of 100 different sexy things, connection things.
I'm gonna have to get that list. I can't remember if I signed up for it or not. I might have.
Okay.
I think I did.
Got it. And so what you do is you just look at the thing and you're like, yeah, I'm into that. No, I really don't want that. Or maybe I would like to try it. And it's just to get curious and explore some things that you may or may not know about. So you can do it on your own and be private, or if you want to do it with a partner, you do it on your own and then come together and kind of compare like what are the things that we might want to try together.
That's fun. I think that's helps start the communication process as well, because people are sometimes afraid to share what they want to do because they don't know if their partner is going to approve or agree. So it sounds like it's a really good, helpful tip for everybody to have. So if you want to give people your information, I have also a little banner here where I have your information as well, so people can get in contact with you. Is there any other place, or are these the main places here?
Yeah, so the first one's Instagram, second one is Facebook. That's my website. On Facebook, I also have that community you mentioned, Thriving Women in Relationships, and that's a free private community for women if anyone wants to join.
Absolutely, absolutely. So thank you so much. It's been such a great, refreshing conversation. And ladies, if you've been wanting to feel like yourself again and stop feeling broken or like something's wrong with you, and just wanting to be turned on again, connect with Blue. You can find her at all these places that we have online and that Facebook group. And don't forget to grab that free gift that she has with the 100 tips or whatever. And remember, pleasure is not selfish. It's powerful, and it's a great thing for all of us to be able to have. So thank you again. And I'm going to just pop you off here. So wave goodbye to everybody.
Thanks. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Thank you. And that is it for the Purple Passion Project, where we keep it real with the right amount of spice. If today stirred something in you, let it. And if you love what you heard, make sure you subscribe to see more. And if you're ready to go deeper, you could follow me all over social media at Dr. Stacy Friedman. You can also go to the YouTube at Dr. Stacy Friedman, and you can get resources, all the podcasts. Until next time, stay curious, stay turned on, and never apologize for wanting more. We'll see you next time. Thank you.
This has been the Purple Passion Project with host Dr. Stacy Friedman. Tune in each week as Dr. Stacy breaks down walls, busting myths, and gives you permission to want more with no shame, no filters, and definitely no small talk. Check in every Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern, on your favorite streaming platforms. We look forward to seeing you next time. Be sure to visit drstacyfriedman.com to learn more.